Chapter 3 School. He could already taste the blood in his mouth as he got up. He had bitten the inside of his lip when he hit the ground, and it was what he focused on now as he stood, the strange metallic flavor that made you want to spit it out immediately, like you'd eaten something that wasn't food at all. He swallowed it instead. Harry and his cronies would have been thrilled beyond words if they knew Connor was bleeding. He could hear Anton and Sully laughing behind him, knew exactly the look on Harry's face, even though he couldn't see it. He could probably even guess what Harry would say next in that calm, amused voice of his that seemed to mimic every adult you would never want to meet. "Be careful of the steps there," Harry said. "You might fall." Yep, that'd be about right. It hadn't always been like this. Harry was the blonde wonder child, the teacher's pet through every year of school, the first pupil with his hand in the air, the fastest player on the soccer field, but for all that, just another kid in Connor's class. They hadn't been friends exactly. Harry didn't have friends, only followers. Anton and Sully basically just stood behind him and laughed at everything he did. But they hadn't been enemies either. Connor would have been mildly surprised if Harry had even known his name. Somewhere over the past year, though, something had changed. Harry had started noticing Connor, catching his eye, looking at him with detached amusement. This change hadn't come when everything started with Connor's mum. No, it had come later when Connor started having the nightmare. The real nightmare. Not the stupid tree, the nightmare with the screaming and the falling. The nightmare he would never tell another living soul about. When Connor started having that nightmare, that's when Harry noticed him, like a secret mark had been placed on him that only Harry could see. A mark that drew Harry to him like iron to a magnet. On the first day of the new school year, Harry had tipped Connor coming into school grounds, sending him tumbling to the pavement. And so it had begun, and so it had continued. Connor kept his back turned as Anton and Sully laughed. His tongue ran along the inside of his lip to see how bad the bite was. Not terrible, he'd live, if he could make it to class without anything further happening. But then something happened. "Leave him alone," Connor heard, and winced at the sound. He turned and saw Lily Andrews pushing her furious face into Harry's, which only made Anton and Sully laugh even harder. "Your poodle's here to save you," Anton said. "I'm just making it a fair fight," Lily huffed, her wiry curls bouncing around, all poodle-like, no matter how tightly she tied them back. "You're bleeding, O'Malley," Harry said, calmly ignoring Lily. Connor put his hand up to his mouth, too late to catch a bit of blood coming out of the corner. "He'll have to get his baldy mother to kiss it better for him," Sully crowed. Connor's stomach contracted to a ball of fire, like a little sun burning him up from the inside, but before he could react, Lily did. With a cry of outrage, she pushed an astonished Sully into the shrubbery, toppling him all the way over. "Lillian Andrews!" came a voice of doom from halfway across the yard. They froze. Even Sully paused in the act of getting up. Miss Kwan, their head of year, was storming over to them, her scariest frown burnt into her face like a scar. "They started it, miss," Lily said, already defending herself. "I don't want to hear it," Miss Kwan said. "Are you all right, Sullivan?" Sully shot a quick glance at Lily, then got a pained look across his face. "I don't know, miss," he said. "I might need to go home." "Don't milk it," Miss Kwan said. "To my office, Lillian." "But, miss, they were—" "Now, Lillian." "They were making fun of Connor's mother." This made everyone freeze again, and the burning sun in Connor's stomach grew hotter, ready to eat him alive. And in his mind he felt a flash of the nightmare, of the howling wind, of the burning blackness. He pushed it away. "Is this true, Connor?" Miss Kwan asked, her face as serious as a sermon. The blood on Connor's tongue made him want to throw up. He looked over to Harry and his cronies. Anton and Sally seemed worried. But Harry just stared back at them, unruffled and calm, like he was genuinely curious as to what Connor might say. "No, miss, it's not true," Connor said, swallowing at the blood. "I just fell. They were helping me up." Lily's face turned instantly into hurt surprise. Her mouth dropped open, but she made no sound. "Get to your classes," Miss Kwan said. "Except for you, Lillian." Lily kept looking back at Connor as Miss Kwan pulled her away, but Connor turned from her, to find Harry holding his rucksack out for him. "Well done, O'Malley," Harry said. Connor said nothing, just took the bag from him roughly and made his way inside. And that is the end of chapter 3.